Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Replayer Podcast. I'm your host, Pagan, this week, and joining me is my lovely co-host, Dan.
What's up, everyone?
Oh,
Hello.
Hey, Dan. What's up? What's up, buddy?
What's up?
How you doing?
Good.
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 And joining us this week are our wonderful Replayer guests, Sam, Drake, and Patrick. How are you?
Hi.
I was going to introduce you by your surname, too, but then I thought, actually, do you want me to? Is that GDPR? I don't even know.
What is going to happen?
What is going to happen, Patrick?
Ooh.
How are you
Hot
guys?
take.
Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, doing pretty good. Glad to be here.
Thank you
Good.
for stopping by.
Yeah, swinging by out of your busy schedule, just
Oh,
happened
you
to be
know.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just had to make some time for you guys. It's fine.
I just had to move some things around in my schedule. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know, whenever somebody says that to me, like I always think of the Grinch clip where he's like, stare at the wall and drift slowly into madness. Dinner with myself. I can't cancel that again. Like I love that kind of like the schedule that he's got.
That's been my favorite GIF/clip of all of quarantine so far. Like this is people's lives during quarantine.
Oh.
It's fantastic. It's definitely the best one. But you know, Jim Carrey is God. So.
Oh yeah.
Welcome to the show, guys. The way we
Ham.
usually
Are we Sims now?
Yeah. I just go into Sims mode whenever I fuck up. Whenever I like fub a line, I'm like, yeah, welcome to the show. The way we usually start our show and get to know some of our replayer guests is just a bit about how you found the retro replay community. So let's start with Patrick. Patrick, how did you find retro replay and come to join the community?
Thank you, Pagan. I discovered.
You are welcome.
Oh my
God, you've
gosh.
never thanked me
Thank you.
before. You are so welcome.
I discovered the channel through a different YouTube channel called Kind of Funny, who are former IGN employees, and they would have Troy and Nolan on periodically. And so I've been aware of Retro Replay since its inception. But I only joined the Facebook group and really got involved with the community in April of this year. So long time watcher, first time caller. I don't know.
Close enough.
First time caller. No, that's amazing. So only April this year, 2020,
That's
when
correct.
you started joining the community. Okay, cool. Awesome. How are you finding it so far?
Oh, it's just lovely. Oh my gosh, everybody's so friendly
So
and warm,
lovely.
and it is. It is. Yeah. Everyone has been so friendly, and it feels like I've been here the whole time.
Oh. It
We do
feels
pretty good
for
about
us,
that.
too. Sam, how about you? How did you find the retro replay community?
It's been said before. I learned about it through Jacksepticeye for the first Uncharted playthrough, I think it was.
This is like amazing. I think it wasn't Abby and also Amelia that learned about retro replay through this.
Yep.
Jacksepticeye, probably. That's awesome. Okay, so that was from the Uncharted playthrough episode that he
I
did.
just know I
with,
get
like-
yelled at every time we talk about Jacksepticeye.
Go watch his videos. He
watched
is a good
one.
dude.
She's pretty
Ding,
fun.
ding, ding. Top up morning. See, I watch his
It's-
shit.
We know the stuff.
Sorry, go ahead, Sam. So you found it through Jacksepticeye's channel.
Yes, so it was the promo video he did with Troy and Nolan talking about Uncharted. And it was just before they started the playthrough, or it was the same day that the first video was released. And I watched them, like I subscribed, I watched them all, but I didn't realize that there were live chats. So I didn't really join the community part of it until I think late December last year. And here I am now with some
And
of
here you are.
the greatest friends I have ever made. So
I feel like
And
I'm
we're
always
all
gonna
friends
quote.
now.
I was gonna say, I feel like I'm gonna quote Chris every time now. I'm like,
Yep.
and now we're all friends. Like
Quite
that's how he
literally.
ended his journey. It was just like, and now we're all friends.
pretty much.
Yeah, it's really sweet. I also didn't know that there were live chats. Did you come on board then, Patrick, and just immediately know that there were live chats, or did you watch? You said that you'd
I had
watched
no
it
idea.
before, but
Just due to work schedule, I never had been able to participate on
Oh, okay.
Thursdays when they go live. and intended to do so, but just never had the opportunity.
To do.
Totally so. I think the live chats are something so unique about that community. I've never encountered that before on anybody else's channel. Just in terms of like when somebody comes on, it really is like cheers and everybody seems to know your name and you're coming on and people know each other from like Discord or Facebook, or they've met up in real life and they've gone to cons together, and it's just like it's really wholesome when you go into those live chats. So it's really nice.
Well, I mean, you actually, Pagan, were one of the first people to welcome me. You, Greg,
Me?
and Aaron. You were
Me,
the
Greg,
first
and Aaron.
three. Yeah.
I'm the better of those three, obviously, right?
Oh yeah. I used to always be very open and welcoming every time there was like new members or new people showing up in the live chats. But you said you started in December.
Yeah.
That's when I moved to Texas, so that's probably why.
Ah. I
Jesus,
see.
It's great to see so many new members as well coming into the live chat now. There's a lot of new names, a lot of gray names and stuff who are asking so many questions that I found a lot more of last year, but they're all coming in again to the community and they're like, hey, is this live? And hey, can no one see this? And like, is this paid for? Like, why are there green names and gray names and stuff? And it's just really nice to like help people.
I can't remember what it was, but there was a specific video that Troy called out replayers by name and kind of promoted the Facebook group. And that's when that's what the catalyst to me discovering the Facebook group was. And I don't know if you can recall that video, but
perfect. Okay, so thank you guys for sharing a little bit about how you found the retro replay community. We do also want to get to know a little bit more about yourselves as gamers, so we do a little retro replayer guest questionnaire, and we're going to start with the first question, and I'll throw it out to both of you to answer. And the first one is what was your first introduction to gaming or to video games? So let's start with you this time, Sam.
Okay. Mine is actually really weird because I like
excellent. Those are the best answers.
Great.
It's
weird.
It's like good. It's either like 2 or 3 specific games on the Atari Lynx, which I feel like that is just a random pull because
that's the handheld, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And I'm clearly not the age to be playing an Atari.
I was just about to say, I was like, you're younger than me.
Wow,
like,
you're a lot older than we thought.
You look great for 50. Oh.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, it was the Atari Lynx, and it was either Lemmings, California Games, or Chips Challenge, I think it was called. It was one of those 3 games, which was like my first. And honestly, like, that was my dad's. That was his first introduction to gaming as well. So it was either that one or it was the Game Boy Advance, and it was one of the Mario games. Might have been Super Mario World. I'm not quite sure. But
could you ride Yoshi?
No. I can't.
Because World has Yoshi
in it. Details like exactly, but that was through my cousin. I didn't own it. My cousin had it, and so whenever we went and saw her, that's when I would play it. But yeah, the Atari Lynx, man.
That is definitely an interesting one.
How did you come by the Atari Lynx? Like, did someone just gift it to you, or?
So I think my dad's dad gave it to him.
How'd you get one of those?
Yeah. I think either my dad's dad gave it to him or he got it from someone while he was in the military. I'm not like 100% sure on that.
Okay.
But he had one, and I remember it being bigger than myself when I was playing it. So it was like the size of my body when I was playing it.
That, I must say, the console itself, like, it didn't ring a bell, but it looks really familiar to me. So I don't know if I've just picked it up somewhere or if I've actually held one and played one. I don't know. But that looks really familiar. And I'm like, I remember pressing the buttons and I remember knowing what those felt like. So I must have either been at a friend's house or something and be like, hey, what's this? And then just like left it.
I'm sure I played one of those at like a store demo or display or something.
Maybe,
before.
Yeah. Could have been.
I think my dad still has it. So like, if I can find a way to stream it, I'll do it.
Make it happen.
Dude, yeah. Anything is possible, man. Anything's possible.
Yeah.
What about you, Patrick?
So I can't quite pinpoint where exactly my first experience came from, but I've got several that stick out in my mind. I was an avid Game Boy fan, had a lot of Game Boys in my life. I remember specifically, trips with family in the car, and you're trying to play by the street lights that you pass, and eventually
I did that because there's no backlight. Yeah,
Did you have
backlight?
Did you have the worm
the
light
attachment? Yeah,
Yeah.
heck yeah, the book light or
I
whatever.
did not have that. I still did, but the whole thing of like up against
And
the
that thing
window
had
while
you
you're
had to
driving
use a
past the
battery with
lights.
it.
Yeah.
So you had to change the battery in it, and it would die after like a half hour.
Yeah,
Yeah,
things have come a long way. I also have a vivid memory of a neighbor kid, an older boy in my neighborhood who's maybe 10 years older than I was, and he would just let me come hang out, and I think he'd be playing like Final Fantasy or something like that. It was games that I was not familiar with because it was like, I don't know, I'm under 10 and he's like almost 20, he's like a senior in high school, and it was so cool that he was willing to give me that time just to let me hang out,
Yeah.
But I had a different neighbor who was my age, and he had the Super Nintendo, and so that's where we got Donkey Kong Country, we got your Mario
Nice.
Bros, and Donkey Kong Country holds a special place in my heart.
I love
that
Donkey
game.
Kong Country.
Yeah. And then the third example is that my dad is in IT, and he had plenty of computers in our garage, things that he would repair and work on. So I have really early memories of playing like Ghost Recon with him, and Red Faction, Rainbow Six, and these things that I was probably way too young to be playing. I remember getting so excited that I got my first kill elimination in Ghost Recon and typing that in the chat, and he's like, "No, don't! Why are you doing my first kill?
Why are you doing that?
Oh, yeah.
Yay! And your dad's
Yay!
like, no.
Hey, stop!
Please,
I need
no,
to
no,
celebrate.
Stuff you can't say in context.
Yeah. So don't know exactly what came first there, but that's my gaming experience. But now I'm still just a full-time gamer. All of my free time generally goes into games. I feel like if you bring up older movie references, I'm gonna understand them, but I'm not gonna really know the context, just because I haven't watched a lot of film. But if you bring up something in gaming, I'm more than likely gonna know what you're talking about there.
Ah, interesting. So, I mean, on that note, then, as a gamer now that you've like kind of kept with it all these years, do you have preferred platform at the moment that you play on?
This generation, it's been PlayStation 4. Definitely. It's only been since about September of last year that I've gotten into more PC gaming, as I built my first gaming rig from the ground up.
Nice.
With the help of my dad, my IT dad. So I've definitely kind of transferred over that way, but I am just so excited for the future, the new consoles coming. So
nice.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. The same question. So Sam, do you have a preferred platform now?
I want to say PlayStation 4, but like that's only the platform that I play on the most. It's not really a preferred platform, so to speak, because I did used to be big with the Xbox 360. Like that was that generation's console for me. And I also play the Switch a lot, so I'm just kind of like juggling it all at the moment. But I guess the one that I do play on the most is the PS4 currently.
Okay. Cool.
So kind of more like me. You have everything. You kind of bounce around. You play pretty much everything, but you have one that you tend to lean towards more than the other. I got you.
Nice. I feel you. Like, I mean, I've been picking up the Switch quite a lot lately, and we've been doing a good bit with the Xbox. Not as much as I'd want to, though, because of Game Pass. Like, we've been set up to Game Pass and stuff, and I still haven't gone on properly to play, like, what was that game you were streaming down? The space one, and it's really colorful.
Oh, Journey to the Savage Planet.
Yeah, it looks so beautiful. And I'm like, oh, God, I need to play that. And I never have. I'm just like, okay, well, Switch time. And, like, Animal Crossing or fucking...
Yeah, there's a lot of good co-op games to play on Game Pass now, too, especially if you're looking to spend some time with the significant other.
Yeah. I mean, it looks great, and I think we're going to go back into Gears.
Yeah, I know you guys have been slowly working your way through that series, right?
Yeah, and I would really like to work up to 5. Like, I would really like to play 5. Anytime I see stuff or clips or anything like that, I'm like, fuck's sake, I can't pick that up until I finish the other one. So I'm like, God damn, we need to actually like sit down and do this. Good answers though. Good answers. Nice. In terms of that, then. across all platforms. Do you have a favorite game or franchise that you like to play? Sam, we can start with you.
And I have 5.
You
Can I
have
have,
5 favorite
can
games?
I have like my top 5?
You can have top 5.
You can give
There's
a top
no rules
5.
here. There's no rules here. You can have top
Okay.
5. It's fine.
So not number 1. It's not in order.
It's a
but-
top 5, but not
Right,
ranked.
got it.
Yeah.
There's no... Okay,
There's-
got it.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first one on the list is
Mm-hmm.
Stardew Valley. Just
Nice.
because
Sure.
I have logged the most hours into it across every single platform. I think I'm nearly up to like 400 hours or something.
What? Sam.
On across platforms or on one platform?
Like no, all across all platforms.
Okay.
Wow. That's
Can I interject just for a
incredible.
second?
You
Yeah.
can.
Sure.
On the Stardew here, just a random little tidbit here. A coworker's roommate, his best friend, made that game.
Oh,
And I've
wow.
got this
No.
little insight into Stardew Valley. I mean, I haven't met the guy, but it's just
That's
a fun
cool,
little
though.
connection there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
so
that's
cool.
That's awesome.
Man, 6 degrees of separation. You're only 6
I
years
was
from
say
the rest of the world. That
because
is
it was
fucking
made by
awesome.
one guy, right? The whole
One
game?
guy.
Yeah.
One guy. It took
Just that guy?
took him
Like that particular guy.
years.
He made it.
His girlfriend was working 2 jobs supporting them so that he could work on his game full
Oh my
time.
god.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
she was like a nurse and something else. It's an incredible story.
Tell me that game, like, I mean, I understand that it did kick off, but it kicked off enough for like her to like stop doing the 2 jobs and they live
would
very
certainly
comfortably
so.
now.
certainly.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's
Yeah, so
awesome.
that
Stardew's
paid
a
off.
massive smash hit now.
Yeah, but it was
don't know
not
that.
it was
I'm
not an
sorry.
easy experience getting that game out to market.
Wow, that's
That's
so
really
cool.
cool.
I'm actually gonna look up more of that now. Thank you. Wow.
I am slightly speechless.
So you were telling
That's
us about your favorite games besides
Follow
Stardew.
that.
I'm so sorry. So sorry.
Yeah.
It's like, who
Derail.
else do you know? I also like this game.
Yeah. So The Last of Us, of course. I don't think that anyone
Sure.
in this community could not say that is on like the top 10 at least. Assassin's Creed Origins. That's that's pretty. It's got emotional ties for me.
Okay.
But yeah, that's like I like all of the Assassin's Creed games, but that is probably my favorite. Then Animal Crossing, just any iteration of Animal Crossing, and Uncharted 4, specifically 4.
Yes, Uncharted 4.
Yeah,
Nice
because
one.
their whole story, like the origin of the Drake brothers, resonated with me. So
Yeah.
you know, gotta have it up there.
Yeah, man. 4 is definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
So I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah.
Patrick, what about you?
Nice.
Yeah, number 1 for me has and likely will always be The Legend of Zelda: The Ocarina of Time. I love that game so much. It's hard to see on camera here, but there's a Triforce, a Celtic knotted Triforce hidden amongst my tattoos
Ooh,
here.
That's cool.
Nice.
That was my first tattoo, and so that
Really?
game holds a very special place in my heart. But then followed by any sort of awesome platformers. Like I love the Mario games. Even like a little bit newer, like Rayman Legends, I want to say. That was a fantastic game.
So fun.
But then I get into my more, even more modern, your competitive shooters like Overwatch. Overwatch is taking up probably
It's
the
a
most
great
amount of
game.
time. I love it so much. And then Rocket League. So I guess kind of,
Really?
oh my gosh, give me
Rocket
some
League gets so addicting when
soccer
you
cars.
get into it. It's so fun.
Yeah.
I can't. I just can't. It's the driving aspect of it. Like I know that I'm not in the seat, but it's just so I can't. I have no control. I have no motion control apart from like I'm just.
I'm
fucking
still doing
everywhere.
things. No other game will do this to me, but I'm gonna be like, you're driving and you're jumping and you're flying through the air. I'm still doing this kind of stuff, and I feel like my mom when she was playing Mario Kart, like-
Yes.
It
This
makes
is
me think of
this
my
was
mom playing
my
original Mario, like with the old controller. She'd be going like this, like every time
Yeah,
she
jump,
jumps, like
jump,
jump.
See, now I was gonna say that's like my mom when we asked her to play the Quidditch in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone on PlayStation 1 because
Nice.
of the D-pad, and it's like fucking great. That was a
All over the
great
place.
day. That was fantastic
Yeah.
because I still do that on that game, particular PlayStation 1 game, but My
I could
mom
see
was
your mom
so
being
bad at
one of
that.
those people you see the videos of VR, like if they get in the VR headset and they're like falling all over the
100%.
place.
Oh no.
Yes, that was
The-
that was the best Christmas when I got Adam. I got Adam VR for Christmas, like however many years ago, and we brought it to his house, his parents' house, and like when his parents had everybody over, like aunts and uncles and stuff, we would put everybody in VR, and we put his mom in it, and we made her do the kitchen. That sounds weird. We made
Ugh.
her do the demo, the
That's so
kitchen,
creepy.
Okay.
which was the Resident Evil 7 demo.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it was like, oh, okay. And so we were like, you made a joke about it, like, oh, it's nothing. It's called the kitchen. And she's like, what are you trying to say? And all this kind of stuff. And then like, it's fucking scary. And we have it all on tape.
You get that video of her just shrieking.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So good. Worth it.
Yeah. Just while on the
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
just on the top
absolutely.
of you got your mom playing games. The only thing that my mom could play was Diddy Kong Racing, because that lets you put
Really?
in cheat codes that let you not lose momentum if you drove off the track. So she could still kind of hang with us because she wasn't
Oh.
getting slowed down by
gotcha.
the inability to stay on track there. But
You can have this similar type of setting in Mario Kart now, right?
Like
I don't
auto drive,
think
I think it is.
I think
auto
so.
drive, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll give you some assists.
Yeah, on the Switch, like, cause you can give you because basically we were all playing once. We're like, oh, this is amazing. And like, how are you winning all the time? I'm fucking going off the edge of the cliff. I'm going into this barrier.
She's like, I
here.
don't know.
Like,
I
why are
just
you
press this
winning?
one button and I win.
Yeah, and eventually they were like, hey, turn
just
on the
sat
settings,
here.
and we found out that person was playing with like auto assist on. We were like,
Mm.
excuse you, come down to the real world, please.
Hello.
Thank you. Yeah, cool. In the same vein of like games that you like playing, would you like to see Nolan on the couch playing anything? So we usually kind of refer to this as like the retro replay proper show, like the Thursday show. If you wanted to see him play anything on there, like that's a retro game, do you have anything like that, or is there something a bit more modern that you'd really like to see them play on the show?
Patrick, you
With
go?
anybody.
I think yeah. I think that it's a bit more modern, but something that's just so much fun to watch, like in Let's Plays, especially with people as charismatic as Nolan and potential friends that could join, would be Gang Beasts. Has anyone heard of that
Gang
one?
Beasts?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yeah,
I'ma
it's just
Google.
all
As he Googles.
it's physics based. You're just kind of fighting each other with really goofy characters and in these over the top maps. And it's like King of the Hill. You're just trying to throw the other person off the side of it.
It uses similar mechanics to like Human Fall Flat or something, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Never seen this game. It looks fun though. So it's a multiplayer, right?
It's a
Mhm.
multiplayer game. Yep. Would
You'd
Probably
love
just
it,
kind of,
'cause
and
it's
it makes
chaos.
you
as well.
laugh your ass off just trying to like push each
Figure
other
out the
around.
control-
Silly party game.
That's a good one. It's a good
Yeah.
one. All right, Sam.
Amelia stole it last week. I was
Atta.
gonna say
Yes.
Simpsons Hit
Hit
and
and
Run.
Run.
I mean, you can always
It's
second it.
so good. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Great game. That was
It's
PlayStation 2,
brilliant.
right?
Yes, PlayStation 2 2000, and I have the note 2003.
2003. Wow.
I was to say,
It's a great game.
we have numerous accounts of people saying like Tomb Raider or Resident Evil, like the old original. So like we've had multiple guests saying the same games, and it's like, okay, yeah, because that's something they want to see. They want to
Yeah.
experience
And
that.
to be fair, like they have played them, right? I mean, we talked about Matrix before, and it just so happened that the Matrix was like announcing a new movie, so they played like the Path of Neo. They did play Resident Evil though, right? They played Resident Evil 1 or 2. They did because they were in the police station.
Yeah.
It was 2.
Yes.
Yes, because they played 2 and the remake kind of side by side,
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
which I was kind of like, it's a cop out, but all right.
I feel I mean, it was for that game's launch or something, was it? Or for the
No,
3
so.
launch?
It was before 3, like
Was it for
like
3?
leading up to the 3's release.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. That they're very on topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
They did
generally
them
do
all-
a good
more
job with that. Of
comprehensive.
like,
Yeah.
we're gonna drop this video when it's like topical of what's happening,
Yeah.
like you said with like the Matrix announcement, and then boom,
Mhm.
here's a Matrix game.
Yeah.
I wonder
So
if they
there
did
you
that
go.
with
They,
Lion
they,
King.
they may eventually do that. Yeah, and they did the Lion King. Really randomly enough, we were like, what? No way. They only played like 3 minutes of that game as well. We were like,
Yeah.
you didn't even get
Yeah.
to the frustrating bits.
No.
Like, get to the monkeys and then we'll talk. Like,
Yeah.
God. Cool. Thank you very much. So we're gonna move on to the show's content this week. We got 3 beautiful episodes. Father Knows Best, Advice from Uncle Noli, and Retro Replay Uncharted 3 playthrough. So let's start with Father Knows Best this week. Cooper and Nolan North. How are you guys feeling about the show in general?
I love it. I personally love it.
Sam's on board.
Yep,
Patrick?
I'm all for it.
That's another one. Yep.
Yeah, it's so silly. It's so silly. It's a look into their lives that I didn't know that I needed. But
Oh
it's
yeah,
great. Yeah.
that's a really nice way to put it. Actually,
It is. It's like it's the father-son bond. It's
Yeah.
really nice to see.
No,
Yeah.
and that wouldn't work with any other pair. I mean, like, you can't replicate that chemistry that comes with being related.
Because it is a father and son that
Yeah.
obviously they've done this before, in a family setting, but now we're watching it filmed, and it's kind of like that mixture of, okay, this is truly them just interacting with each other the way they would normally, and then there's Nolan being Nolan for the jokes and for the show, and Cooper's just like,
yeah, I love it. I feel like I'm living for that content. Whenever Nolan makes Cooper uncomfortable and he's like, oh,
and Nolan acknowledges it, and he's like,
yeah,
I'm doing this, and you're dealing with it.
But that's the thing. Like, I mean, I'm not a parent yet or anything, but that is totally how I'm going to be with my kids. Where they're like, "Mom, don't embarrass me," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna."
Let's dial this up.
It's my God-given right because I gave birth to you.
Like, you tell you not to do something? Well, guess what, Bucko?
Yeah. Turns out I do it.
Because guess what I had to put up with when you were a child? Me telling you to not do things, and you did it anyway.
The problem is, I feel like my dad probably embarrassed me the most, but my mom would try and embarrass me, but I would just match her crazy. So like she would like drop me off at school or whatever, and like I'd be in secondary school, which is like high school in America, and she'd be like rolling down the window like, bye, I love you so much, bye, and I would just match her crazy and I'd be like, bye, mommy, I love you so much, I'm gonna see you after school, and I'm gonna text you when I get lunch, and she'd be like, all right, Pagan.
Make it weird.
Touche.
Match her crazy. And then I brought it to like I was staying with a friend in America for like Thanksgiving. And we had like I was staying with her for over 2 weeks, and we were staying with her, I guess host family, but they were family friends, so they were kind of like her family. And she was dropping off kids to school, and anytime they'd leave, I'm like, "Bye guys, have a great day at work. Have the best day and everything." And just really like this Irish kid be like, "Hello, have a great day. Like, be the best you can be. Like, you're unstoppable," and all this. And all the other American kids were looking at me like, "Oh my God, who is that crazy lady?
How dare you be full of positivity?"
Yeah, bring the crazy. Just bring it. It's funnier to be silly. Yeah, I would agree. I think this is an interesting episode. I was way too I had too much faith in Nolan and Cooper this episode. I had a death count of 16. I threw my death count in with Pyro, and I was like, 16 for me, please. I have some faith this week. The death count rose to over 30. Excellent.
Yeah, Nolan died a lot.
All the time, but I really love the
Speaking of
R2D2,
deaths, the first death
so cute.
was Cooper falling off the conveyor belt when he stepped on the side, and it dropped out, and he went, "Oh shit!" Like, it surprised him so much, and that made me just
face.
I laughed out loud at that one.
Yeah, it's really cute. I also liked when Cooper was like, "Oh, I can't say the F word, can I?" And Nolan's like, "Fuck, no, you can't say that." Like, oh, that was great. But yeah, the death count in total was great. R2D2's death sound. Yeah, I would purposely chuck him off the cliff just to hear that sound. It was the cutest little sound
I've definitely done it before.
But what I would say is, like, at the very end of the game, at the very end of the level or anything, I think they're playing this like ship level where there's like lasers and stuff that you have to sort of avoid because your ship will blow up and everything. That was probably the most frustrating bit, and you could see Nolan and Cooper get frustrated with each other because they were like, "Will you just come over this side? No, there's one over here."
Go
He's
this
like,
way.
"No, there's
Go
one
that
over
way."
here," and they're like pulling each other against the edge of the screen. That was brilliant because that's exactly how I feel playing multiplayer. Sometimes you're like, "No, just come this way. No, come this way. No, come this way," and then inevitably, like, one of you will die because you've dragged somebody into the laser.
That was the joys of like co-op gaming back in the day, like on PS2 and prior platforms, because now you generally have like online multiplayer and you don't have to worry about the split screen or the sharing a screen, which is a whole different world that we live in now compared to back then.
True. Have you guys played this game? Have you guys played Lego Star Wars before?
it's been a few years. I've played a lot of the Lego games. Star Wars, I'm probably gonna lose some people here, but it's not my favorite franchise. I don't dislike it.
You're
but
riding
that one
on
in
Pagan's
particular.
back, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
Oh, I set that up a while ago. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Those
so
viewers
that game in
never came
particular.
back.
Oh, probably not. Probably not. Yeah, so we're good.
She hates Star Wars. Done.
Goodbye. This is my angry commenter voice. Except you're all replayers, so you don't sound like that.
Unsubscribe.
No,
Russian?
but give me some high fantasy, some Lord of the Rings or something like that.
Yes.
Yes.
Lord of the Rings Lego was great.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't like Lego Lord of the Rings.
Boo
Yes,
this
you like
man.
Star Wars, so.
I love Lord of the Rings games, but I did not like the Lego Lord of the Rings game because
To be fair,
enough.
I actually don't think the Lego Lord of the Rings game was the best. I
Mm.
really
I
enjoyed
didn't
like the
it
Harry
because
Potter ones.
it was more of all of the Lego games up to that point were parodies. The Lego Lord of the Rings was the first game where they took all the dialogue right out of the movie and then put it over Lego characters. And all the parody was gone.
Yeah.
No more parody.
I would agree. I still like Lord of the Rings though, so I was okay with it.
Yeah.
But I like the parody stuff. The parody is great.
I've played enough Lord of the Rings games. I didn't need it in my Lego game. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Still, the best Lord of the Rings games was the Two Towers. Sorry, the Lord of the Rings Two Towers on PlayStation 2, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm reiterating it for Sam Patrick, who may not have heard last week, but I really like it. Also, I need to find it again.
On that note, I had recently played that game a few weeks ago. Actually, busted it out for my PS2 and played it. And it still holds up. And we played the sequel, Return of the King, on PS2.
Nice,
It was also like the same style of like action RPG game.
This game.
Oh, Battle of Middle Earth.
Yeah.
That's probably the best Lord of the Rings game.
That's
that one and the two towers.
Is that the real-time strategy one?
I think
Battle
so,
of
yeah.
Middle Earth? Yeah, that one's so much fun.
So good. It's just so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Brandy has that.
Cool.
I can see it.
What are you looking at? Oh,
Brandy's like PC collection on the shelf over here.
All I'm seeing is this.
Hold on. Like I just can't be like
overall good episode. Like I said, I just feel like they're just wholesome, good fun, good watching, kind of like you can just sit back and enjoy it. And
that was one of my favorite episodes so far of the show.
This was the a lot of it was like Anakin and Padme, right? This level with the conveyor belts and stuff. Worst movie.
Don't tell me what to do, Padme.
Yeah, it was great. And chat, like I say, was hopping. Which is always really nice. I always like to see like chat, like the numbers as well, like people who are waiting to watch, and it just starts to climb up, and you're like, oh, this is great, you know, like people are here, people are engaging, and it's nice. And it kind of brings light to a
live
Monday.
chat on that episode.
Oh,
I forgot I missed that one.
But yeah, I mean, you didn't miss much. It was more like the death counts, because the death counts were so high and everyone had guessed way lower. I think Lotta Doom, shout out to Lotta Doom, like she had guessed like 63 in the last episode. And then she's like, hey, can I just move mine over to this one, because we're clearly going to get there. And I'm not sure if we got quite 40, but definitely over 30.
I mean, I did like that Cooper was like, we have to get True Jedi before you die again. It was just like, we are getting True Jedi so that we do not lose any more studs.
They do it though. I'm impressed. Like it works. And the whole like the bit at the end where they kind of like they're attaching some sort of cargo onto their ship or whatever, and they're kind of like going around this thing, and they need to smack the cargo off the gate, I guess, to unlock it. That was the idea. Like it was like some sort of barrier or whatever. That was really good, because it again showed that frustration level where like Cooper was like, no, just keep coming this way, and then Nolan's like, oh, for fuck's sake, and then drove all the way back to the beginning, got the cargo, and was like, right, just fucking cover me, and like just went at it. So good. I feel like that moment I was like, yes, this is what two players like with me. I get so frustrated. I'm like right, let's just do this again. Yeah, I suck. We know that though. Our listeners know that. All right, well, moving on. On Tuesday we got another Father Knows Best. No, Uncle Noli Knows advice from Uncle Noli. This
Almost
was
the same thing, right?
Shorter though. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I feel like it is. Uncle Noli knows best. That should be the new title. Because he does. It's all
He
face.
does. I don't know what else to say about this show. It's always so silly, so snappy. I love the way it's edited.
Great.
Steph, shout out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to
Yeah.
Steph.
Oh, is that
and
right?
Paul, like,
Yeah.
crush
Thanks,
it.
Steph, Paul. Y'all are the best.
Yeah, yeah.
Who'd
For
have
sure,
asked?
for sure.
I've got two favorites from this one.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
Pastor
let's hear it.
Michael. Pastor, that
My
was
favorite
so
too.
like,
My favorite too.
where'd that
I was going to
come
mention
from?
that one as well.
Hands down. Yep.
It was Jesus thinks I'm funny. Like,
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
I was going to
Yeah.
mention the Pastor Michael for an entirely different reason.
Oh,
What were you gonna say?
Well, I was going to talk about how his initial answer before it became a joke was actually very applicable to all media that you might see. Like, if this isn't your cup of tea,
Turn
don't
it
watch
off.
Drink
it.
it.
Yes.
Exactly. Don't drink it.
Yes.
And I'm like, the whole time watching that, I'm like, this is great advice. Like, people
Yeah.
need to listen to that. And then it
Yeah.
turns into like, I haven't been smited yet.
Yeah.
Jesus likes
I
me.
think that's great. I love that. Like when he read that out, I was immediately thinking like that reminded me of when I got that DM from the Vatican Catholic person
yeah.
who was like, "Hey, I think you should give up the demonic video games and change your name to Mary and pray the rosary and also visit like VaticanCatholic.com or whatever." And I was like, "What? Like,
Ooh.
Why?
why are you sliding into my DMs? Go away! If you don't like the content, fuck off! Like seriously, I don't need your shit."
Trying to save you.
Yeah, right. I am saved by the demonic video games.
Oh, yeah.
Hashtag blessed.
All
Hashtag
the
blessed.
demonic video games.
Um,
They're so
I
evil.
kind of wanted to send back, like, you know, the GIF of like Sabrina, the new one where it's
Okay.
one of the aunties and it's just like her in the glasses and she does this and then underneath this is Hail Satan or Praise Satan or something. I was like,
yes.
please, yes.
That
You
fucking
need to
show.
do that.
But that was a great answer as well, and I totally agree with you, Dan. Like, if you don't like the content, fuck off. Like, just stop watching. It's so
It's
easy
just
to
so
click away.
applicable, especially like right now. Like
Yeah.
just
Mm.
everything. It's people like coming in, like the trolls,
Yeah.
the spoilers, all that junk. Like, just go away. Like, let us
Yeah,
have our
just, like,
thing.
There's no need to be there. Like, there's no
You
need
don't
to
have
be
to
there
watch
to...
it if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have another? Did you say that you had another second one? You had a favorite?
I did.
Oh, right, go ahead,
Yes,
Sam.
it was the knowing when to move out.
Mm.
Because that was
Pointed.
great.
So
Pointed.
vivid.
Does that
Yeah.
apply to
Vivid.
anybody?
No, but I feel like it was pointed at Cooper.
Mm.
But I'm sure he has moved out. I'm sure he has. I don't know. But that seemed like how it was. I was like, oh,
If they could have like synced that
is this
joke
an
up
insight
between
into the Norths?
the Father Knows Best and that episode where it's just like, we're gonna start doing it in front of you guys. You know that, right?
No, that's just nasty. Oh no.
I mean, he's right. You should move out at that point.
Definitely should move out. If you're like, yeah. If that is something, no, I can't.
No.
I can't even touch that. Nolan's got that one like down. Pointed subject. What about
Yep.
you, Patrick? Did you have anything like that particularly stood out for you this week?
Yeah, the stolen car bit. When you shouldn't be yourself.
be
And why?
yourself.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
That's
Those are
great.
the best times where you would expect like a real answer, but it's
Yeah,
a full
yeah.
like
Yeah.
fuck off answer. Just well, here's a time when you don't want to be yourself when you've stolen a car. Like,
Oh well, good point.
And then at the end, like, don't steal cars. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
Don't steal cars.
I feel like it's almost becoming commonplace that we always get at least one of him just being like fuck off, like fuck you.
I think that was great. What was that one? Where's my money?
Yeah,
Where's my
like,
money?
In
Where's
your
my
sister's
money?
neighbor's ass? Or something?
Okay. Well, fuck yourself.
Oh,
Gotta give me some
God.
lasagna.
I feel like as well, like when somebody asked that question, all I pictured was the gift that's, I think it's Stewie from Family Guy. It's
Mm.
like, where's my money, Brian? That
Where's
if
my
anybody
money?
hasn't seen that scene,
Where's my money?
that's great. Yeah, where's my
Yeah.
money? Where's my money, Brian? Oh, and listen, man, I'll get that tomorrow. I was like, oh, okay,
Oh,
yeah, sure. And it comes back with like a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Oh man, Great clip. Fucking great clip. It's almost as good as like when Peter fights the chicken twice.
Or hurting his
Those
knee.
cliffs. So, oh yeah. You know, still to this day, me and Adam still go, and it's a great way to stay in shape. If there's like stuff that we're listing off, and be like, and it's a great way to stay in shape. Oh, Family Guy, you've done it again.
Show has definitely permeated our lives.
It really has. Really has. Media has permeated my life completely. But what was I gonna say about Uncle Noli? Oh, this is the first time, especially after the Pastor and Michael one, this is the first time we got a different hymn.
Right. That's right.
Yes.
We did.
And I was like, whoa, where did this come from? Like, whoa, because I was expecting the Uncle Noli Knows, just Uncle Noli Knows, because the previous one, Dick Pic, was Uncle Noli Knows sometimes. And then
they rolled. Like, it was like a choir, right? Like
it was advice from Uncle Noli, and I was like, I wasn't expecting this. I'm happy about it, but I just was not expecting this. I feel like it didn't quite. It didn't roll as well as the other ones do, because I feel like it went on like it's advice from Uncle Noli instead of Uncle Noli Knows. But at the same time, that's the name of the show. Like advice from Uncle Noli, it's not Uncle Noli Knows. So totally see where it came from. But yeah, I was just not expecting it. Alrighty, let's move on. So the last episode that we had this week was the Retro Replay episode on Thursdays. Uncharted 3 playthrough, and Amy Hennig and Richard McGonigal are back again to play the Chateau level.
Guest.
Yeah, I just love this trio.
Oh man, me too.
They're so good together.
It's so perfect too. I mean, obviously we're watching Uncharted 3 where it's Nate and Sully on screen in the game. Mm-hmm. So like, of course we want Nolan and we want Richard there, but Amy to give that like behind the scenes like commentary about like the game development, and goddamn, she's got a good memory. Like,
yes,
that game's what, 10 years?
Yeah, she's like, I haven't played this in 10 years, but
she remembers exactly where things are, and like,
she also in their dynamic between the three on screen, she plays such a good like straight man when like the other two are off the walls, you know, and she like brings everybody back down, and it's just a fun balance.
Mm-hmm.
God, I love them. I love them.
Same. I mean, I feel like you said, Patrick, I feel like I love this trio. It's one of my favorite trio guests on the show.
I find that like traditionally I'll listen to the episodes almost as if they were a podcast. I'll still like have the video up and get the YouTube on there. But I found it especially difficult on this one to know if I was listening to dialogue in the game or the two of them bouncing back and forth between each other. So I had to pause what I was doing and try to tune in for most of it.
That's been a common issue for these episodes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I could totally see that.
Because I think like we were initially saying like maybe they should take the game audio down a little bit because we have the subtitles, right? So we can see the subtitles are there.
Right.
But then like you might miss some of those really good lines. But I totally agree. We've had this conversation before on the podcast where it just sometimes gets a little confusing. You're like, did Nolan say that or did Nathan say that?
I know
did Sullivan say that or did Richard say that?
They're trying to fix it. If you notice in this last episode, I know I saw in the live chat, I think Drew had mentioned that they were trying to adjust audio and they had effectively removed music, but
a
not
lot
the
of
dialogue.
folks saying, "Where's the music? Where's the music?"
Right, but then there was also a couple of times where we got a clean cutscene without them, so we could hear what was happening in the game without them speaking over it. So I feel like they're aware and they're trying to like tweak things to make it more, like what we're used to when it's not the same people that's in the game talking is the same people talking over the game, and you're like, wait, hold on.
It's so strange to do, and I feel like it is. I feel like this is just an issue playing in quarantine. I don't feel like this would be an issue.
Technical issues.
Yeah. Excuse me. Loving this level. This level is probably one of my favorite levels in the game. The chateau and everything going up in flames. Love it.
You love chaos, is what we have
do.
learned from that.
I like it. I like organized chaos because there's
cool.
clear directions and stuff like that where to go. The bit that I really laughed at was the delay when Amy was telling Nolan to do something, and Nolan would be like, "Oh, right, like drop down." And she's like, "Yeah, drop down there." And obviously, there's a delay.
Like, no, don't drop down.
No, not there.
So
not
great,
there.
so great. Or like when she's like, "Do I go here?" No, wait, do I go here? And like runs back and forth between the window and the ledge. And she's like, "Yeah, you could drop down there."
Was that That was
Well, not
Nolan's
that, you're
first
there.
death too, wasn't it? When he dropped
believe
down
so.
When he drops
under
down,
her
yeah.
instruction, and you're like, no.
And can I say, like, other than like, how do you say it? Like almost environment influenced deaths. So for example, Crash Cam.
Mm,
Other than that, like he really didn't die from combat at all
right.
again this week. So technically you could count it as 0 deaths in terms of like he doesn't die in combat, but he's still like, you know, the Crash Cam
Spiders,
got him
yo.
twice. And the spiders.
Spiders.
Them damn
He
spiders.
just panics. He just panicked and went straight into the wall. And poor
Yeah.
Amy was like, "I'm so sorry." Like,
I do like that Amy addressed that though. She was just like, yeah, people have written to us and said that they cannot play this game because of the spider
Yeah.
bit. And I didn't realize that like I realized it's a phobia. I have it, but I didn't realize that it affected people so much seeing it on screen that they just can't play the game because of it.
yeah.
Could you imagine getting to that point and then just being like,
Nope.
nope, nope,
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Like,
I would,
can't
I would
read up
pay
on the
somebody else. I'd be like, somebody else
Yeah,
has to play this
please,
bit for me so I can
somebody
get.
help me.
Yeah.
Right.
And then
Maybe there's a mod maybe somewhere. Somebody could just like download some mod where it's just marshmallows or something,
Marshmallows.
right? Like
Watching Nate get like
Something else.
eaten by marshmallows, where he's
Too
like,
many
"Ah!"
carbs. Too many
Ah,
carbs.
the sugar. That could be a way around it. You never
Yeah.
know.
There's a lot of creative people out there.
Contact Amy. I'm sure
Do
she'll
any
hook
of you
somebody up.
know if if it does change with crushing difficulty? Because that was something they touched upon.
That
Oh,
is
right,
something
they
If
that
it
questioned
becomes
it.
more difficult, yeah.
I would
don't
imagine it
know.
probably doesn't become a lot more difficult because it's such a fixated scene and event.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
And
I would
in
agree.
the context of that moment in the game, Nate is actively being attacked by spiders the entire time. You
Yeah.
really can't do anything about it. It's more or less just
Yeah.
managing your way down the hallway. And
As long
like,
as you hit that path correctly.
Yeah.
right, it's like the Crash Cam moments, even back from Crash Bandicoot back in the day. You're running towards the screen, and it's more about, you know, making the jumps, dodging the things that are coming at you. That's not the thing that's chasing you. The thing that's chasing you is just the incentive to keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of
Yeah.
not missing your beats essentially to get to the level.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
run in the wall.
I'll have to try it
When
out.
there's a door, like don't run
Find
into the
out.
door frame. Yeah. And but I think that's I think that's right. I think like crushing difficulty wouldn't affect like environmental difficulties. Things like the fire or like things like the spiders and stuff. I think Dan's right. I think it would only really affect combat,
Yeah.
Right.
I guess.
I only ask because I will never touch it. I will never go to
I
crushing.
would never try crushing.
Nope.
I'm interested. I would try it for the crack and then get really frustrated and probably quit the
I'm
first
down.
level. Yeah. You wouldn't be able to play it like Nolan, like when he did last week, and they were like, yeah, if you could just stealth your way through this whole thing, that'd be great. And he just went to like guns blazing. I was like, or that is also fine. That is also great.
Oh, I have to say too that right off the bat in that episode when they made the joke about the gird your loins, and then Nolan joked about how Richard was only wearing a t-shirt and socks, I picture that the rest of the episode.
Richard's like, I'm half girded.
I'm half
I thought that
girded
was
all the
so
time.
funny.
Yeah, I'm half girded.
Honestly, when they said gird your loins, and I don't know if I'm the only person who thought of this, but maybe Sam, if you've seen this as well, I immediately thought of The Devil Wears Prada. Nobody?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I know what you're on about.
So Stanley Tucci plays a character in that film where like, you know, Meryl Streep is coming in and he opens the door and everybody's like panicking. He's like, gird your loins. That was the first time I ever heard that phrase. So when they used it today, like in the Retro Replay episode, I was like, anybody else think of it? Anybody else?
I've seen that
No?
movie,
Just
but I
me?
don't remember that because it's been ages since I did see it.
I have watched that film
Pat says
so
I don't watch movies.
many times.
It's callback.
Yeah, but that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's my travel film. I don't know if anybody else has this kind of thing. Maybe you have a game that you particularly play on traveling. Like if you're going to go traveling, I can't play games because a lot of times, like if I'm in a bus or anything like that, I'll get car sick. But
Okay.
I can watch a film. So on the bus, plane, whatever it is, the two films that have always been on my iPad have been About Time and The Devil Wears Prada. And The Devil Wears Prada is like hands down, I've probably seen that about 10 times. I could quote that so much. It's just such a quotable film. And then About Time is just like a handful of times that I don't want to overwatch it, but it is so cute and so
It's
sweet.
the sweetest thing.
So good. You guys have not seen this film, I'm presuming.
I have
Neither
not.
of you have?
Unfortunately not. No.
Beautiful film, and it's really well written. If anybody is interested in like, I feel like it's a date night movie. It really is. It's kind of like a
Yeah.
rom-com, but it is so beautifully written. So
So sorry, what
I'd
was that
recommend
movie? What was the name of that second one?
About Time.
About Time. Okay. Is
With Donald Gleason and Bill Nye.
Yes.
Okay.
that right?
Mhm.
He's a local legend here.
But night.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
We're not talking about Bill Nye the Science Guy, are we?
No, we're
not.
Bill Nye.
I'm sorry, I had to run with that.
Yeah.
The local.
Dang
legend,
it.
Bill Nye.
You reeled me right in there. God damn it. Yeah, cool. Any other thoughts about these kind of playthrough? How are you liking playthrough in quarantine?
I mean, I'll take it. Like, I feel like there can be better chemistry if they were in the room together,
Yeah.
but like not possible. So what we've got, good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
good
best
point.
of a bad situation. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
For
Yeah.
sure. Because if anything, they'd be in a studio with a green screen. So the overall mechanics would be roughly the same, but we're obviously limited to technical setbacks that they have to deal with doing it from quarantine and from home and everything. But I mean, I don't feel like it would be a lot different.
No.
No, probably not.
No.
It would
I
just
think
be like-
the delay thing is hilarious. Like it works really well.
It does. Yeah, it actually adds a little bit to it.
Yeah, it works really well. But which is interesting because you wouldn't think it would.
Mm-mm.
And I feel like Amy is like the kind of person who would speak not when spoken to, but like after she's thought about it or something. So it's not like a constant flow of consciousness like it is when you're speaking to me. So that like her delay isn't really noticeable until she's giving direction. And then you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I think
Don't
the
jump
best thing
down
to
there.
come from quarantine playthrough is the fact that we get the Sully like because he's so fixated and focused on watching. I don't
He's
think
really
we would have
interested
had
in
that.
the game.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't think we would have had that if he was in studio, sitting next to them. Because
Yeah.
like
I
he's
mean, we
only
get
looking at the screen.
We get the Nolan game face all the time, so
The stroke face.
Nolan's game face is great, especially when he's like really struggling with something or trying to jump up something. His expression changes slightly. And he's like, or when he's trying to get out of the fire in the chateau and he's like going off the plank and stuff. He's like, "Climb, you idiot! Like just climb! Like why aren't you like jumping and climb?" Like get really frustrated about it. I think that's great.
just shout
loved
at himself.
I loved when he got through the first segment of the spiders and he's just like he dropped the control, like I did it, and then it's like, oh no, we're still going.
Yeah, we got to go back in there actually.
yeah. And he's like, I need a moment. Like, oh. It was really frustrating as well. I thought it was great. It's good.
Stuff.
It's good.
I think
mean,
they
like you
touched on
say,
a good
I think
point
she's
too
got-
about like Cutter being a great
Yeah.
character, and it's too bad we didn't get more Cutter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
I could totally see that. Like if Cutter came back, I'd be happy.
Me too.
Yeah.
I
I
like
feel
the
like-
pedantic thug.
Going
Mm.
forward then, going forward though, like in the next episode, or do we not get a little bit more of Chloe and Cutter
Yes.
I
think
believe
next
so.
scenes? I feel like we
I
do. I
think
feel like
it's-
they stay a while, right? Like they don't split up now until after Syria.
Are we doing future spoilers for the next episode? Is that okay?
Oh yeah, that's absolutely
Okay.
This
all right.
game has
So,
been
like,
out like over 20
I know,
years.
okay,
If y'all have
good
never
point.
played it, go play
Good
it
point.
now.
You had your time. You
Yeah.
had your chance.
Yeah.
But doesn't
Mitch off
he
here.
he get shot or he hurts his leg or something, and that takes Chloe and Cutter out of action for a bit?
Oh,
As they-
Yes, you're so
Yeah.
right. Yeah. For a little bit.
Yeah, so we get a wee bit more of him. But
Yeah.
there's a silly little sidebar where Amy somebody mentions that the line that he has about this cheap phone plan
Oh right,
Yeah.
I
was
noted
really
that.
like it was something that the voice actor whose name slips me.
Oh,
Great,
Graham.
McTavish.
Yeah, that's right. Something he would actually say. Just thought that was silly.
Then Chloe's phone being broken was something that
Claudia's. Yeah.
just left it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had made a note about that as far as like what it's one of those little elements that makes Cutter great and the lines that he had and like the whole thing about like we've been trying to reach you for 24 hours and he's like, oh yeah, it reminds me I got to put more minutes on my mobile.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? You have a prepaid
What?
phone? And he's like, dude,
Yeah.
those plan phones are a ripoff.
Yeah, contracts are a ripoff. I kind of agree. I kind of agree with
He's
like
not
Graham
wrong.
McTavish. So if Graham McTavish actually said that and was like, let's just go with this because this is hilarious because they said that that's probably something Graham would actually say. I'd be like, yeah, I could see that because I would probably see the same. I'd be like, oh yeah, I got to top up my phone because I still use a top up phone. I use a prepaid phone. Shitty useless advice you need to know about Pagan today. There you go.
Hey.
Yeah, cool. Great episode though. I think in general, like chat was great. I could only stay until the episode aired at 12 o'clock, so I didn't get to see everybody's chat. But yeah, I'm really enjoying these kind of episodes. I do hope Amy and Richard stick around for longer. I'd love to see Claudia though come back on the show, and even Graham. I would like to see more of those.
I'm really hoping that Graham can come back at some point.
Yeah,
because man, he was awesome in the Uncharted 2 playthrough.
So good, so good. What about you guys? Do you guys have anybody that you'd like to see come back on the show?
I mean, Claudia for me, because they have such good chemistry. They're like bouncing off of each other, bouncing off the walls. Like they are chaos when they are put together, and I love that.
Yeah, they're good. They're a good team. Good team.
Yep.
Yeah, you could give me Richard every episode, and I would just be in heaven.
I hope Richard never leaves.
I honestly think this is a thought or a feeling that echoes throughout the whole of the community. Everybody loves Richard, and it seems to be ever present on like social medias as well, like Twitter, Facebook, the live chats. Like everyone's just in love with Richard, and they're like, yes, more of him because he's so wholesome.
Just him, his presence has become one of my core favorite things of these episodes. Just the consistent giggle.
Yes.
I never want that to stop.
Especially if you're listening to it, because I did listen to one of those episodes like you did, Patrick, in that like podcast format, where it's like the only thing I was hearing every like 3 or 4 minutes was just It made me chuckle so hard. He's just like, oh, it's really cute.
He's precious.
Yeah, he's precious. He a little precious man. All right, well, let's move on to our next section, or our last segment really, is the retro reply, before we get on to like this week's topical news. So let's do a retro reply. This week's question to PJ was, how do you take your coffee and who makes it? And Drew, I think, actually asks and answers the question, right? He like states the question first before he answers it. So
are we doing PJ or Drew first?
Let's do PJ.
Okay, cool.
How do you take your coffee and who makes it?
Here we go.
Coffee on the set? I never ask somebody to make coffee for me. I don't know. That's just kind of like a little dicky move. Like, hey, peon, go make me a coffee. If I'm in a pinch, I will nicely ask Stephanie or Belle to make some coffee, but I'll make the coffee. I don't care. I'm the executive producer. I'll make coffee. I don't care.
See, that's interesting.
Wonderful.
This is interesting. I thought like, I don't know, because I feel like big studios that they usually have like people who be like, okay, well, there's coffee in the canteen and blah, 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 like, and this person would always make it, or, you know, this kind of thing. Yeah. So it's interesting that they're just like, nah, I'm going to make coffee and like, I'll make it. Let me put on a pot. Didn't tell me how he takes his coffee though, so we can't like ever just send him a random like Starbucks order. Replace that. Be like,
I really appreciate and like respect that he's like, nah, I can make my own damn coffee. Like I don't need to ask somebody else to do it, and that speaks to me, especially as like someone who's worked in like low-ranking like retail jobs, and I can even say the military at this point. Nothing pissed me off more than when a boss isn't willing to lead by example. And I've had bosses like that before that were like, you know, I need you to go clean this thing or do this thing, and then be like, okay, well, I don't know what I need to do, and I'm like, can't you do it, or can't you help me? And they're like, nah, you're the peon, you're gonna do it. And it's just like, wow, you're a dick.
Yep, I've experienced that in retail. Not great.
I feel like it's more, I mean, I had asked that question, and I feel like where that came from more was just like, surely everyone is just so busy on set that there may be somebody who's just like, okay, well, here's a coffee break at this time or whatever, and like there's coffee constantly going. I feel like actually asking that question, I should have rephrased it to who makes the best coffee. Because even though you can make coffee for yourself, if Nolan did it, he might make you a super duper coffee, and you're like, God damn, Nolan makes the best coffee. So maybe I might check him over at Twitter. thing and ask him if
Follow
he
up
can answer a
Revision.
follow-up question.
I'm waiting on
Absolutely.
PJ's follow-up for the music.
Playlist.
So
Yeah, man. We'll
right.
chase that. We'll chase that too.
So we're
all
gonna
right.
move on to Drew's
We're
favorite
gonna move on to
episode
Drew.
of the show. His answers are always much longer, so they're fun. Here we go.
Yeah, they're good.
Question from Pagan and Dan. Do you have a favorite episode of the show? Wow. They're all kind of like my children, so to pick one would be tough. But let me say that the Kid Icarus episode, when Nolan said send it in raw, I think I had to excuse myself because I was losing my mind. I was laughing so hard. And then rewatching the episode, I cannot help but laugh. Every time I watch that episode, it cracks me up. That moment is so great. So that's definitely up there. Same thing with Uncle Noli Knows or Advice from Uncle Noli. God, every episode, even when we're going through reviews of the edit, I just find myself just cracking up. I think the Uncharted reunion we recently did is definitely up there. Recording that episode on Zoom, being a fly on the wall during that was, I was just, thank God I was on mute because you could just hear me howling. Uncharted for multiplayer was really cool too. So got to get to set that up with you guys and the gameplay and problem solving. As much stress as it brings me, I do enjoy trying to solve problems from a production side to how do we make things better and do things more efficiently and involve more people. So that's always something that's on the top of our minds, and we're always up to a challenge. So yeah,
It was a good answer. I just want to throw it out there, right? When he sent over the clip to me, he said, like, he put in an email, be like, feel free to make any edits that you need to for this content, whatever, right? And before I even listened to Drew's answers, the pile of questions that he gave back to us, which is great. Before I even listened to it, I replied back and I was like, thank you so much for taking the time. There will be no edits. We're going to be sending it in raw like Uncle Nolan. And then I listened to the answer.
Oh, and you hadn't
I
even
was
listened
like,
to it.
and then I was like, do I go back and be like, listen, by the way, like, we made that same joke. Like, I didn't know that you hadn't listened to that.
Well, we've also made that reference about the way we record the podcast too.
Yeah.
We like to keep it raw, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you guys? Do you have any feedback about Drew's question, or do you have a favorite episode of the show?
Do you want to go, Patrick?
I think
we
there
used
was
to
just
ask
something.
that, didn't we? Like favorite episodes. We used to talk about it all the time, but
We
whatever.
used to,
Sorry,
yeah,
Pat.
we used to, but
No, that's okay. That's
Go
okay. We
ahead.
didn't. I mean, the anniversary episode was just so special and so much fun. Especially, I think it hit at the right time too. Where we all kind of needed a boost, and I definitely found a boost in that episode.
Is this the Thanksgiving episode that you're talking about? I just want to be specific.
You're talking about Uncharted, or before playthrough, right? When it was like everybody from Uncharted grouped together on the Zoom chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Good one. Sam?
Yeah. I don't. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
You can continue, Patrick.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. No, I don't have anything else.
Okay. Okay, it's gonna sound like pandering, but the multiplayer episode was a lot of fun to watch.
Aww.
Like, you guys killed it. Just gonna say it.
No, Dan killed it. Did you see his points? Holy shit. That guy actually plays games. The rest of us were like, really shit. You know what the favorite part of the whole episode, and I've said it before, was when the people playing with us online, the very last, I presume it was the idol one, the catching the idol or whatever. The last kind of game we were playing, they all realized they were playing with Nolan North, so they let us win.
They just started letting us win.
That was great. I actually really enjoyed that bit. Looking back at it, I'm like, that's kind of cool. They didn't all slaughter us, but yeah. Sorry, Sam. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. And then, like, a classic is the Die Hard one, simply because of how excited Troy got. Like, little child energy, so cute. Like,
yeah.
It's my favorite episode.
I can get behind that. Like being so obsessed with something that you're like really excited to share it with people.
Mm-hmm.
And like I feed off of that energy. So yeah, that one is it's probably
It's a good one.
That's a great shout.
one.
I spaced on that one.
That was my first episode that I ever watched of the show, and it still is one of my favorites because I'm just a huge Die Hard fan, and just that whole Christmas special, for whatever reason, just spoke to me in a lot of ways. So that's what actually that's what hooked me into Retro Replay.
Oh.
I feel like any episode that they've made me like almost choke laughing, that'd probably be like one of my favorite. Like the Terminator versus Terminator versus RoboCop episode?
Yeah, shit that kid out the window.
Oh yeah.
Oh Jesus Christ! That is the best moment in Retro Replay to this day. Like next to Send It in Raw, that one for sure. But anytime like Nolan actually enjoys a game or gets good at a game.
Yeah.
Like in the Mortal Kombat episode, and he started like kicking Troy's butt, and Troy's like, okay. And he won like 3 rounds or something, and he's like getting ahead of himself. Like, all right, Sonya, like calm down.
That same thing happened in SSX, I think, because Troy's controller started malfunctioning or something.
Yes, and he's like, it's the controller. And no one's like, hey, just winning. Love it.
I love any of the fun songs that they do. So one that stands out to me is Sunset Riders.
Yeah.
You used to have a soundbite for all that stuff that I would play on the show. And like if you listen back to our old episodes, I spam the hell out of those sound bites.
So good. It's so good.
Insert it here.
I could, but I wanted to give Drew a quick shout out too for one, shouting us out, saying like he had a lot of fun with that episode, because on our end it was like, man, they got to be stressing so hard right now. But Drew was like, nah, it's cool, we're having fun, it's a puzzle. And we talked about in the podcast over the last year that we've been doing this now, we talked about how we just imagine Drew is dying on set, like when they're recording some of the stuff, and we got like that affirmation from him saying that it's him that like he has to excuse himself because he's laughing so hard.
Yeah, I feel like that's also one of our questions as well towards the end of like our question segment. That was another question, and I feel like it's just reaffirmed that yes, like constantly has to leave, or like doesn't even bother trying to hide it, and we'll try and edit it out, but you'll always hear him laugh. It's great.
I mean, can you blame him? He's surrounded by like really talented comedians.
I think it's funny. And you know what's interesting is like, I would love to know how many takes they've done of something where Nolan got too dark and they laughed their asses off for ages and was like, we can't use that, buddy. You're gonna have to go again. Like, you're gonna have to do something else. Like, we cannot use that. That's too much. I'd love to see that. I want to know the limit, Nolan.
That made me think of how I think it'd be really cool to have like a B-roll like super cut of just all the times that Drew had to like excuse himself because he's laughing so hard. Just Drew like hands over his face, just dying, tears running down his beard.
That'd be amazing, actually. I wouldn't mind like getting like clipped versions of what it's like from like behind.
Unfortunately,
or whatever on the thing.
I'm pretty sure we'll never get that kind of content, because I know that like they're at max for all their hands on deck, essentially, that no one is able to do that kind of stuff. From what we've learned from watching the show and how we know the staff, that we don't think they'll ever have someone just filming B-roll essentially. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. That'd be really cool though, if that was something like in the future, because just like watching Drew piss himself at whatever Nolan says, that would be great. Good
content. Even just like, for like the community tab or something, that'd be great.
You could have like an outtakes video. That would be pretty good. I don't think there's much, but like that would be good.
I feel like, are there outtakes? I feel like the whole show was an outtake. Like the whole, like if it's good, it's in the show. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how I feel about it. I'm like, well, like all of the stuff could be outtakes at any given time. I feel like the stuff that they've actually had to clip is probably way too dark for the internet.
Yeah.
And they've been like, okay, that's probably stuff we actually can't release for like legal reasons. Like I feel like that's probably where they're stretched. But I feel like everything else is just such good content, and none of it is like, it's not PG and it's not really censored. So I feel like that could be like the whole show's an outtake. That kind of seems like that to me.
Yeah.
But good idea. That'd be really good. Someone
it in the
somewhere has
pot
got those
there,
dark
Drew.
clips just waiting to release them.
Release the Drew
Blackmail.
cut.
Release the
Drew
Drew
cut.
cut. Release the Drew cut. So before we move on to our next segment in relation to Retro Reply, if you guys have any questions for the cast or crew and you would like an answer, please send them over to thereplayerpodcast@gmail.com or DM us on Twitter, or even just post it on Twitter and tag us at
tag us
at
on
Replay
Twitter.
Podcast. Yeah.
Perfect.
And we'll be sure to send them over and get some answers for you.
Yeah.
So before wrapping up the whole episode today, let's move on to some big news this week. PlayStation event that happened the other night. Big news coming from the PlayStation team, from Sony. How do you guys feel? What's going on? Are you excited for anything?
What was announced? What a stage?
I'm not quite sure.
PlayStation. Is that how
game
you
station?
say it? Say
A
what now?
PlayStation? I don't know. Is there something to do with Sonai?
It's something to do with
Sonai?
a fancy new router. I
Sonai?
think.
I don't know. I'm from
What it-
elsewhere.
I think it said that it was YouTube's. An IGN article said it was YouTube's like overall like biggest streaming event that they've ever had, with the most viewers tuning in to this reveal event. That was pretty cool. People
Wow.
are excited, tuned in.
Dude,
So
I
what's
popped
this
in
thing?
like
Oh,
I was
the
watching
PlayStation.
PlayStation event.
Yeah, PlayStation. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I popped in, right? And I was actually streaming this myself, and I was streaming reactions to it, but chat was available on YouTube. And I feel
Really?
like I've seen chat go really fast, but holy Moses, did I see chat go fast. How anybody is typing anything at all, you're kind of like, what's the point? Why are you
There's
even
no
typing?
point.
Like, why are you, why? There's just no point.
If
Even
you could
slow-mo
like
was on.
go back and put it in slow mo, it's just people going, "Oh my god!" I did, like,
It's
the
just a
whole
lot
time.
of F's and stuff like that. Like, there was a lot of F's and a lot of G's or whatever, and you're like, stop typing. Like, stop.
Not necessary.
Yeah, big news. Big news. How are you guys feeling?
I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited. Let's go. Let's go.
Very
Let's
excited.
go. Let's go.
What do you guys think about the two different versions?
Not
of the
surprised,
PS5.
honestly.
Really? Not surprised.
Well, I've been following the whole like development of the new consoles for years, honestly, and I know Xbox has been possibly developing a full version and a discless version as well. They've had two code names for it, Scarlet and Lockhart, for the Series X.
Oh, okay.
And I've heard a lot of IGN specifically, producers and editors talking about, will the PlayStation do the same thing? And so I'm honestly not surprised that they would give that option, especially for price variances and the trend of people going exclusively digital, like myself. I almost only buy digital now.
Really?
Pretty much.
That's really interesting. I still find myself buying the physical copy. I don't know why. I really like having the physical copy. I like having it on display. I like having something as well to like have to
For me, it
sign at events and
varies.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on what it is. I'm still trying to reduce clutter in my house.
Okay. Yeah. That's a
Yeah,
I mean, it's a great way to start.
yeah.
It's a great way to do
Yeah.
it, especially if you got it all on your PlayStation Cloud.
Yeah, it would take a significant. I'm sorry, because I still would be tempted to get the version of the console that allows you to put discs in it, but if it's a significant price difference, I would definitely consider that discless option.
PlayStation.
If I had to hazard a guess, I'm gonna say it's $100 difference.
$100.
Maybe.
$100 is
Think
not
so?
unsubstantial.
I didn't think it'd be that big.
Well, if you look at the Xbox One S all digital edition,
Yeah.
it was $50 cheaper.
Yeah. See, I
not
thought
have
it
a
would be
disc.
$50 cheaper.
Yeah.
That's
And
that's my estimation, but I don't know.
It would make sense, but I don't know if they would go with that price point. They might
No,
be.
I-
It could be. It could be.
And I think what you're missing out on though, what's the big? It's 4K Blu-ray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the special 4K,
4K
Blu-ray.
Blu-ray player,
Yeah.
basically.
It-
Yeah.
They did it. Part of that announcement was that it was an enhanced 4K, I think,
Yeah.
Blu-ray. So you would be losing that if you get the digital only version.
Yeah. But that's not really important to a lot of people. Like if people don't have 4K televisions, if they're not interested in 4K
True.
Blu-rays, like
And now we have a streaming culture,
I'm-
anyways.
yeah.
Like you stream everything.
I'm not
Yeah.
super like 4K, the whole 4K plus thing, like it wasn't really a benefit to me either. I was just like, okay, well, that's nice. Like I'm not looking for 4K content at home. I understand the appeal, certainly, but I'm just kind of like, I'm not pushing for it. If it comes with a PlayStation, hey, that's great. Because I want discs anyway. I like to keep discs and I like to collect them. So it's not the reason I'm getting it. I just like to have a hard copy of the game.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm in the same mind because like all my favorite games I have physical copies of. Collector's editions, they come with physical copies.
Right.
Yeah.
That's actually the few games that I still own physically are collector's editions. Specifically.
Yeah. And I also think like I might be one of the last few people who actually own DVDs. So I
still have DVDs.
Yeah, and I still like my PS4 is my DVD player because I don't have a disc drive on my laptop. So like if I were to get rid of the PS4 altogether, which I'm at the moment not planning on, I would go for the disc option simply because like it gives me more options for like entertainment. But also, I would bring up the I don't know if this was discussed because I had to like catch up afterwards because I was preoccupied with other things. I don't know what it's like if your internet connection is poor. How does that affect the digital version? Yeah.
Good point.
Because I don't have a stable internet connection unless I've like plugged it in via Ethernet. So what's that like?
That's a good question.
I'm just glad that they have options then. You know, I feel like I've got a stable connection, you know, and if that makes more sense, if it's that much cheaper, you know, I'll probably go that route. But I love that it's not isolating anybody just because maybe they don't have a secure connection.
Yeah, true. At least
more
you
options
have
are
an
better.
option to get it.
Yeah.
And we also got like, I mean, it's a big console. Like I've seen it compared to other consoles, especially like Series X and then PlayStation 4, PlayStation Pro. It's a big console, but beautifully designed. I'm really happy with the design and what it looks like.
It looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it's super sleek. I love it.
I mean, super memeable, you know, like all the
very
games
memeable
coming out. But
very memeable.
I think it looks
so
fantastic.
Was the Xbox Series X.
My favorite meme that I've seen of the PlayStation 5 so far was somebody's dog with just like a paper wrapped around it. But it looked like the PlayStation 5 somehow.
No. My favorite meme is Connor from Detroit.
Oh yeah, because it looks just like him.
Yeah.
And like his head with the pop collar. I'm like, perfect, excellent. I'm loving the direction this is going.
Yeah.
Would you rather buy the Xbox mini fridge or the PlayStation router?
Yes, I've seen this one too. I love that. Yeah. That's great. But excited for it. We also got like massive announcements for games, for exclusives.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Just real quick here.
Go for it.
Kind of weird. Why? Like I'm not surprised that we're getting Grand Theft Auto 5 for the 3rd generation, but why do you think they started with that? Don't you think that that's like a nice like sizzle reel like middle of the road? Like you see that Rockstar logo come up and I'm like, are we getting
they got burned by that.
Yeah.
You know, like what's going on here? I just thought it was odd. That's all. But besides that though, you know, you get $1 million in-game dollars, you know, they're hyping it up.
The only kind of explanation that I could put up for that is because like obviously it's a beloved game on that console. I have actually not played it, but I know people who would die for that game. Like this is their diehard game.
Yeah.
But putting it in the middle of the reel or at the end of the reel, do you not think like they were trying to go up from there rather than like, oh, here it is, and then also this other game that we've also played before, and then some more great stuff. So I feel like maybe they're like, let's just start with this, that it's going to be remastered for PlayStation 5, and then like let's go on to the good stuff.
Phrase that way, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but was it necessary? Was it necessary to be announced at all? Could they have announced that in like a Twitter?
I feel like
a PlayStation blog.
My one thought that I have on that is that as far as we know, PlayStation is kind of leaning away from compatibility as far as new title or what's available on the PS5 is going to be PS5 games. There's not going to be any PS4 compatibility that we know of, except for games as a service. And Grand Theft Auto 5 is probably one of the most financially massive game that they have on the PS4. So they probably want to just come out the gate with like, just so you know, you will be able to play Grand Theft Auto 5 on the PS5.
True.
Do not worry, we've got you.
Yeah.
Right, and then also
I think
Pagan's point
for starting it. Yeah, starting it and then going from there.
It's because it was definitely a ramp up from that because that was a PS4 game. Like, okay, this is a known quantity. Let's move on to the new stuff.
For sure. What are you guys most excited about to see coming to the PlayStation 5?
I started a list, man.
How long?
pick
Yeah.
one?
Like, yeah.
Spider-Man, 100 miles. My
This-
baby boy. I'm
Yes.
so ready.
Yes.
I'm so ready.
Yes.
Oh, Spider-Man.
More
So
Spider-Man.
excited for it. Yeah.
Spider-Man.
I feel like everyone blew up about that because
I was
so
not
good.
expecting. I was not expecting. To be fair, I don't know why I wasn't expecting a second one. I don't know. Was I living under a rock? Probably.
Oh no.
And
She
Pagan
gone.
froze.
Oh no.
She gone.
Pagan. All right. Well, unfortunately, due to a storm, we've just lost Pagan. It's looking like her power just completely shut off and she's dropped out. We try to give it a chance for her to come back, but we're going to go ahead and close out the show without her, unfortunately. But before we do that, just wanted to give you guys a last chance to talk about what was your favorite thing from that PlayStation 5 event that we just witnessed.
There was a game that I was watching Pagan stream while like doing what I was doing, and everyone went wild for Kana Bridge of Spirits.
Nice. I actually thought that looked
Because
really
of
cool.
those
Yes.
little sprites.
It's so cute. They look like
They're
so sprites.
adorable.
I want a plushie of that in my life right
Right?
now.
They look like soot sprites from
Totoro?
Totoro.
No.
Totoro.
Yes?
Totoro.
Cool, we got there.
Yes. No.
I did find out the actual name for them. They're called the Rot.
Norrot.
The Rot.
The Rot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a very cute
It's
name.
not a
not a
very
cute
cute
name.
name, but they are adorable. And we
I just
all.
love-
Nope. go.
Interesting.
No, just the contrast, the you know, the beautiful animation, the Pixar Disney like animation style of the main character and the sprites,
Mhm.
with the contrast of the scary elements, you know, the monsters that she's fighting. It just sign me the F up right
Heck
now.
yeah.
Yes.
The character design alone had me sold
Yes.
on that game. And if it holds up the way it looked in that preview, which it looked like gameplay, I'll give it
think
the
it was a
benefit of the doubt that it
mix.
was gameplay at some point where
Yeah.
you see the character fighting those monsters. And it was like, this looks phenomenal. I am down. Put this in my
Yeah.
veins kind of thing. If Pagan was here, that's what she would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all want a plushie. We just want the little.
The game
we
has to
just wanna
come
hug
with a
them.
plushie now.
Yes. That is
Pack-in
my
plushie.
requirements. I want you guys to listen to this, okay? If you're listening to this podcast, I want the plushie to come with the game, okay? Thank you.
How about you, Pat? What was your favorite thing from that show?
Give me more bug snacks.
Bug snack.
Bug snacks looks so adorable. You start off with that little strawberry with the eyeballs kind of skittering around, and then that mean old walrus.
The mean old walrus.
Absolute monster.
That monster.
I don't know. It just seems so quirky, so cute. It gave me vibes of like Viva Pinata, which I loved.
Mm.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. I want more of that game.
Nice throwback.
I don't even
shout
know
out
what
to
it
Viva
is.
Pinata.
Oh, it's so good.
I love Viva Pinata. God, such a
best.
great game.
That it's such a weird concept. Like I love how like out left field it is to have a load of like creatures that are just
Creatures
snacks
that are
I-
food.
Yeah.
They're just food. Like
Again,
living
plushies,
food.
please.
And it was sandwiched in between the reveal of NBA 2K21 and Demon Souls.
Right?
Couldn't have been more different.
Yeah.
Demon's Souls.
Dan, what are you excited for?
Man, I was saying this before. I don't know if it was on the podcast, but I've been very audible about my expectations and hopes for PlayStation moving forward. And the first thing I was saying, if we have a new PlayStation, I want a new Ratchet and Clank. And fuck yeah, I got it.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
So happy to have a not only a Ratchet and Clank, but a proper Ratchet and Clank, not like
Right.
one of the weird spin-offs or like
Yeah.
a side story.
No,
but a
and
full proper Ratchet and Clank. So I'm very happy.
they even went out and said in that like developer interview that they did after the gameplay that this is a full-length
Right.
adventure. So
Exactly.
sounds like you're getting exactly
So
what you need.
this is what was Tools of Destruction for the PS3. Like
Mhm.
Tools of Destruction was such a phenomenal Ratchet and Clank game. And then every game after that kind of felt a little less because I feel like Insomniac was just getting distracted by other projects, and the Ratchet and Clank kind of got a back seat. They kind of came back when they did the remake of Ratchet and Clank, the original game, which was amazing, but it was still like, it was a remake. It wasn't really a new experience, but it was still really good. So just as a old school like PlayStation 2 fan, I'm happy.
Yeah, bring on the fun.
Okay, I was gonna say Stray looks really interesting. The one with the kitty.
Yes.
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm like Pagan. I do the hand talking.
I do this to everyone on the show now. Whenever they start talking with their hands, I did it to Cass. I did it to Amelia.
I am
Yeah.
cautiously optimistic about that game because all we got was a CG trailer of a cat in a city where there's robots with smiley faces. So I really don't know anything about what that actually is.
I need to look closer at that because I have a friend who's a massive cat fan. And she was messaging me like a year ago, like, oh, did you hear about this game where you play as a cat? And I was like, sure, cool. Like, I don't know if this is that game. So I
Untitled
want to look
cat
into
game.
Untitled cat game.
Did you see the description for that? It said like you solve mysteries as a cat.
No, I didn't catch that.
Like,
okay.
Cool. Sign me up.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm down. I love mysteries. I love cats.
So
in.
Detective Pikachu, but with a cat.
I mean, interesting concept.
And
in Robotopia or wherever it is.
like, I'm gonna go on record and say, like, I shit on PlayStation a lot on this show, but it's more just me kind of being the counterpoint to the fact that this is a very PlayStation dominant podcast.
Yeah.
Because everyone that's on here, you're replayers, you're fans of Last of Us and Uncharted. That's a reason you're a replayer. And I love those games, but I see the faults in some of them too, more so than others, I think. But I am very, very, very excited for what's to come. I will definitely be buying an Xbox before the PlayStation 5, but I will be getting a PlayStation 5 because I have everything. I have all the consoles.
Yeah,
you know,
it's gonna happen.
I
I still have to make that choice as well.
I do think I might be buying both. If my
Well-
PS5, sorry, first. But I think I will be getting the Xbox this generation simply because I am missing like Halo and that sort of thing. Because that's what I had in 360 and I miss it.
I'll tell you right
It's
now.
still on.
You can get the Master Chief Collection for Xbox One now, and it is a perfect experience. Like
On Game Pass too.
They did so good with the Master Chief Collection. You can play all of the original Halo games seamlessly. Like,
you just hit like the back button and it turns. If you want to play it with how it was originally created.
Well, that's Halo 1 and 2 specifically.
Yeah.
The anniversaries have that. But I mean, you can jump
So
into
cool.
Halo 1, play through that game. You can jump into Halo 2, play that game. You can all 3, 4, ODST, and now Reach they've added. So you can pretty much enjoy all of Halo in one package.
If the newest Halo is still on track to release at launch with the Xbox, that's going to be a really it's going to be very tempting to go that route.
Well, not to detract us too much from PlayStation, because that's the point of this chat. We will be getting a Xbox presentation next month. They're going to be doing a similar showcase of here's our first party games, because we do know that Xbox has 14 first party studios now developing games for Xbox Series X. I'm really excited for that. But in the meantime, PlayStation 5 has finally been revealed. We finally know what that thing looks like. We still don't know the price, which I'm not surprised. I don't think we'll get a price anytime soon.
No, maybe Q1 next year.
It's supposed to come out holiday, though.
It's supposed to come out this holiday.
Is it this holiday?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe like August, September.
Wow.
I think the problem is I think no one wants to say it first.
Yeah.
I think both Xbox and PlayStation have prices they want to ask for,
Mm-hmm.
but are waiting for the other one to say it so they can go lower.
Yeah, they want to be competitive.
Right.
Yeah, makes
Which
sense.
is smart on both ends, because both companies have been burned by price in the past.
Yeah.
The 360 to the PS3, the One to the PS4, they both had counterproductive price points, and that kind of set the pace of the market.
We don't need Sony coming out and saying you need a second job to afford this console like they did with the PlayStation 3.
And I think that's part of the problem with some PlayStation fans is they forget some of those ridiculous things that PlayStation has done and said. Like, they told you to get another job to buy the PlayStation 3.
3, yeah.
That to me is insane. And I
real life.
I can't help but be a little bit hypercritical about that, especially when Xbox has been doing a lot of things to smooth over the mistakes they've made, and hopefully PlayStation is not as crass. But I'm excited. They showed off a lot of really cool things. God damn, those games looked amazing.
They really did.
Give me Horizon. Give me Resident Evil. Give me Demon Souls.
Yep.
Yeah.
How about just that sleek headset that they announced at the end of that sizzle reel? I don't know what it was about that really stood out to me. With the 3D audio, which they've been talking about for a while, but to integrate that in their base headset, still very
And I'm
awesome.
sure that would integrate with PlayStation VR moving forward too.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, I'm going to be really excited to find out more about the next generation of PlayStation VR, because I love mine, but it's got its limitations.
I just hope that PlayStation kind of leans away from the like standalone peripherals, because that's been kind of an annoying thing where like you can't use another controller or a webcam with the PlayStation. You have to use the PlayStation camera.
Right.
Yeah.
The fact that they prioritize their own stuff. I mean, I understand from a business standpoint, but as a consumer, it's frustrating.
The camera looks, it looks better than it does currently. I don't know if it quite looks sleek, but the idea of it being an enhanced camera, that's good news, at least.
For sure, I imagine so. And man, we got some awesome announcements. They basically confirmed a lot of my suspicions. Like, I assumed there was going to be a new Spider-Man game. I don't think this is Spider-Man 2.
This is labeled as Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Right. I don't think this is 2. I think this is kind of like a Lost Legacy style expansion almost.
Possibly, but I also feel like what they could do with it is have Peter Parker like somewhere in the game.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
Teaching Miles how to be Spider-Man, because that's
passing
kind
the torch.
of what happens. Yeah.
My assumption is that this game is using a lot of the created assets from Spider-Man, the first one. And that's why we're going to get it already. Like, it's supposed to have a holiday release, right?
Yes.
Yeah, holiday 2020.
I don't imagine a Spider-Man 2 is ready yet, especially since that studio is also making Ratchet and Clank, and it's a full-fledged Ratchet and Clank. I feel like that's stretched too thin for them at this point to be getting a full-fledged Spider-Man game.
But to get a Spider-Man game in the PlayStation launch window, that's awesome.
That's great.
Traditionally, we don't get those big titles until usually like the spring.
And that's really smart on PlayStation's end to have a Spider-Man game. It may not be a full-fledged one like the original, but that's still like, yes, give us even if it's like, the $40 like mid-tier, definitely have that as an option to get with your PlayStation 5, especially since you might not be able to play the original Spider-Man on PlayStation 5 if they don't do the backwards compatibility as we expect. I've ranted enough about that. So excited for, of course, Horizon. I was expecting announced. I think a lot of people might have been expecting a God of War 2 announcement. That's probably too early, but I'm sure that's on the horizon.
I agree.
But yeah, all things are good. There was a lot of cool games that were shown off at E3 last year that they showed off. So happy to see that those coming along nicely.
Deathloop.
Yeah. Deathloop was shown off at E3. The Abe's Soulstorm was shown off at E3 last year.
Oddworld.
Right.
Oddworld.
Yeah.
Let's see
They've
if
got
there was
Watch Dogs Legion, which should have been out this year. It should have been a March release this year, and I was really looking forward to it. But that is apparently coming to PS5 as well as PS4. So I am interested to see that if it does come out, which at this point, who knows?
Yeah.
I'm always a little less excited about these cross-generation, like when it's on both. Like my favorite time is when it's like, no, this is a PS5 game only, built from the ground up for PlayStation 5.
I mean, we only really experienced that with last gen, going from 360 to 1 and PS3 to PS4.
Yeah,
there wasn't a lot of cross-gen from 2 to 3 or 360 to 1. There was a few games, but they were like mostly sports games where like it didn't really make much of a difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see that, like, we got Last of Us 2 next week. We got Ghost of Tsushima right after that. Those games could very well be PlayStation 5 games. I'm curious to see what Sony does with that.
Well, PlayStation 4 had the remaster of The Last of Us because Last of Us came out within like months before it was
right before the PS4 did.
Yeah, so I imagine that I don't know how they'll be able to do a remaster of something that is already.
It might not be a remaster, but it might be like an upscaled version.
Yeah.
But that's where, for me, I get frustrated. It's like, are you going to sell me this game twice, or are you going to give me an upgrade?
Yeah.
Because that's what I don't want to do. I don't want to buy a game twice, especially if they're that close together.
And with Microsoft doing what they're doing, I'm sorry to bring it back to Xbox, but that
I enjoy I like the discussion. I like the back and forth.
Yeah, Microsoft doing. I can't remember what they're calling that system, but you buy
smart delivery.
Smart delivery. You buy Cyberpunk on Xbox One, and you get it on the new one. Very cool. Very cool. So
and
hopefully PlayStation can compete.
I think PlayStation needs to pay attention to that.
Yeah,
and they should be, because Xbox is working very hard to meet and exceed consumer expectations.
Yeah, just because you ended up on top at the end of this generation doesn't guarantee you.
And
anything.
I think that was Sony's downfall with the PS3. They were so high with the PS2. They came out the gate very cocky.
Yeah, people will want this.
Yeah, people will pay whatever for our console.
Get a second job. Yeah.
But lastly, before we close the show out, we'd like to let you guys give a chance to share a little bit about where people can find you, anything you're working on, any projects you've got going on. So I'll throw it at Sam real quick if you want to share anything.
Okay. I have a Twitch. I'm Samantha on Twitch. I'm Samantha on pretty much everywhere. The only place that I'm everywhere. The only places that I'm not is Instagram, where I am. What is it? I'm Sam Drake, or I am Sam Drake. So on TikTok, I am Sam L Drake, and I have kind of followed in Dean's footsteps and done some cosplay stuff.
Awesome.
Nice.
But yes.
I don't TikTok, but cool.
Yeah. I didn't used to TikTok, but now I do.
And Pat?
Yeah. All right. Thank you. You can find me on Twitch as well. That is my main platform. It is twitch.tv/PSUT, PEASUT, PSUT. You can find me on Instagram as well at PSUT_plays. Twitter as well at just PSUT. But those are my main platforms.
PSUT plays.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, PSUT plays.
Kind of like Pagan, because she's Pagan plays.
To be fair, I was PSUT plays on YouTube 5 years ago as well.
Yeah, suck it, Pagan.
Great minds. no,
I'm kidding.
Great minds think alike, though.
Right.
But
you say alliteration.
Yeah, no, easily.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you for having us, Dan. And this has been a fun opportunity. This is my first podcast I've ever recorded, so
nice.
I can check that off the bucket list now.
Hey, Dan, where can we find you?
Yeah, Dan, where are you at?
Forcing me into rapping when I was going to say things still.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Well, I wanted to thank you guys for coming on the show. And I wanted to say, I'm happy to help you out with that, Pat, especially when we've had that before. We've had people come on the show and they say this is their first podcast. They had a lot of fun with it, and it makes it really special for me and Pagan. And we love getting that feedback when people tell us how special it is almost. And it's like, well, we're just sitting around having the chat. We're just fucking off, whatever. Like, but still, it means a lot to me. And I know it'll mean a lot to Pagan. Unfortunately, she couldn't wrap up the show with us, but say that, you can find me on most platforms as Stark Evil Vash. And then I am on Twitter at Stark Evash. That's STRKYVASH, to bring it back to Jim Carrey, because we always do. And then I just need to throw out a special thank you to everyone over at Retro Replay. Nolan, Drew, PJ, Paul, Steph. Hopefully not missing anybody at this point.
Thank you all.
Without you guys, we wouldn't be here having this little show and chatting about what you guys do. And now we're all friends.
Yeah.
Because of you guys. Like,
thank you so much.
So many of us have so many new connections. You can find Pagan at Pagan_plays. I believe on everything now, because I think she did finally change her Twitter.
Twitter is Pagan Plays. There is no underscore.
Just Pagan Plays.
Because somebody took it.
Yeah, so then you can find the Replayer Podcast on Facebook and on Twitter as well. You can follow us there to keep up to date with the show. You can also email us at thereplayerpodcast@gmail.com. Send us in your questions and things for Retro Reply. If you have any burning questions for Drew or PJ, and maybe Nolan, we're hoping we might get some little advice on the side from Nolan. You can send those over to us, and we will send them in to hopefully get a voicemail message response. So with that, we'd like to end the show with game over, folks. Good night.
Hey!
Game over.